All right, what is up? Nobody. There's nobody in the chat. Come on, people. Well, for all of you that are going to watch this recording, which I hope it is a few, welcome to Yakin with Yukon. I am your host, Yukon Phil. This is our second episode. And if you missed last week's episode, I really suggest you go and check that out. We talked to Ed from Rebels, Reptiles, and Games. Had a good time. Had a few people in the chat and got to know Ed a little bit better and what he's all about. So, if this is your first time, this is Yakin with Yukon, and what this show is pretty much just getting to know your YouTube toy hunters a little bit better. I am in that class. All my guests are in that class, so I kind of grill these guys a little bit. Not too bad, nothing crazy, but that's kind of what we're going for, guys. So let's do it. My very special guest, my very good friend, is none other than General Kenobi from General Kenobi's bunker, and super happy that he is with us today. Let's go ahead and bring him in. What is up, man? How you doing?
Hello there.
How's it going?
How's everybody doing?
Good, good, good. All right. So we don't really have anybody in the chat. We got one person. Julie's in the chat. Hi, Julie. Thanks for stopping by.
There you go.
All right. So how's it going, my man? How's your weekend?
It's going good, man. Feeling short as usual, right? But
It's already
it's
Sunday.
going. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You been busy toy hunting this weekend?
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
I wish, man. Yeah, I did a little bit of toy hunting on Friday. I found sort of a restock, but the previous Friday I found pretty much everything I was looking for in terms of the Target exclusives, like that boba back there. Whoops.
Nice, nice.
And that Axe Wolves from the Vintage Collection. So
I've been searching for that one. No luck on him yet.
it's nice, man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, definitely a snag for sure. I saw two yesterday, actually, still on pegs, but I think it's a restock because when I picked up mine, it was the last one on the peg. So
Nice.
I'm hoping that they're actually restocking throughout the week.
How much did he go for?
The usual. What is it now? Like 14 around there.
He wasn't 21 like Boba.
Yeah, I know.
That's good. That's good to hear. Good, good. All right. Well, I'm gonna grill you for a little bit, so that
Sure.
you already know that. So,
That's what we're
all
here
right.
for.
So, man, just to kind of get it going, when did you start collecting, and why did you start collecting? What drew you to it?
Sure. So, I would say start like consciously collecting. I was probably I was probably around like 15, 16 when I started putting aside, figures. I've always liked toys, right? Ever since I was a kid. And then Star Wars, the special editions came out, right? And that definitely caught my eye. I didn't really know Star Wars before that. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm an '80s kid. I was born, too late for Star Wars. So the special editions come out. I really like them. And then shortly after that, Episode One comes out, right? And that was it. I was hooked. And so, but even back then, I was still, basically buying toys for toys, right, to play with. And so I started buying, heavier into Episode One wave, and then in that period between, I guess, Episode One and Two, I mean, of course, I was getting older, and so I wasn't, necessarily playing with toys, but I still like the figures, right? So I would pick up one or two here and there and just, put them aside or, put them up on the wall or whatever, more as decoration, right, at the time. And then Episode Two comes out. Again, I really liked it. I mean, Jango Fett was like a mind blown for me. And so I started going, a little bit heavier into the figures. But I met, a couple of people that were already collectors, right? They were older than I was. So I was like, oh, like this is sort of how you do it, right? And so, mind you, of course, these guys, they had way more funds than I did at the time. So I was very, picky with my with which figures I would pick up. And mind you, I was doing mostly figures. I do regret not buying more ships back then because, of course, looking at it, now they were so cheap, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they were what, like, you know 15, $20, some of them. The bigger, nicer ones were probably like $40. $50, the real big ones, and now they're going upwards of 200, right? But hey, that's live and learn. So that's more or less when I started collecting, and only recently did I started, sort of like sharing my collection. I've always had friends that collect, like I mentioned, but I never really branched out that much in terms of, putting my stuff online, or let alone, of course, having my YouTube channel. That was like unthinkable for me. Um, and then comes the bug that made us, stay at home for quite a bit, right? And the idea started brewing, uh, and I suddenly found myself with a lot more time on my hands than I would have wanted, and it just started taking form, and then I just decided to go for it, right? And so that's when I mostly came into this like toy hunting space, and oh, appreciate that, Julie. Thank you so much. And like you mentioned on your video about the things that YouTube has taught you while doing YouTube, I should say. I was the exact same way in a lot of things, so I identified with that video quite a bit, because I was like, dude, there's almost nobody doing this. It's like I'm like one of maybe
Yeah.
6 people in all of the internet that it's
Yeah.
gonna be posting their toy hunts out there.
Yep.
Lo and behold, right, you bust into the scene, and all of a sudden you realize we are well into the thousands, right,
Oh
easily.
yeah. Easy.
Uh,
Easy.
and
Easy.
so yeah, you all of a sudden you realize, yes, it is a niche, but it's not a small niche, right, as most people might think.
Not at
uh,
all.
but yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying that I've sort of never really stopped for too long collecting. There was a period back about 10 years ago where I was buying nothing, right around when the Black Series launched. When the first wave hit, I wasn't buying anything back then, and I didn't buy anything for a couple of years around that time. Uh, and then slowly but surely, I sort of started going back and grabbing some of those initial releases. But yeah, I think that's about the longest period in my adult life that I have not collected.
That was a kind of an interesting thing with the Black Series release because it kind of took you in a place where it's like, okay, because I was a lot like you. I got all the ships. I was a completist in Star Wars from about 1995 till Black Series came out. Honestly,
There you
I
go.
had all the ships. I mean, it's funny that you see HasLabs nowadays going for 350. I remember when the Naboo Starfighter came out. I found that on clearance for Target for like $50. And that thing was like what, three
Exactly.
feet long,
Yes.
And it's kind of sickening to see the way things have gone. And you're like, whoa, I used to get some good stuff
Oh yeah.
for some cheap money, and
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, I got to budget like crazy because I can't go get everything. And there's
Yeah, no kidding.
rules.
Let alone, of course, the space, right?
Right,
Space is
right.
a
Space is
collector's
tough.
number one,
Yep,
enemy.
yep.
But
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah,
I not that long ago I picked up the B wing from the Power
saw
of the
that.
Jedi.
Saw that.
I did not have a B wing like any, right? I just did not have one, and not because I didn't like it. It's just I missed it, when it was out in the market, right? Again, that was back in 2004, 2005, maybe, just before Revenge of the Sith, and then by the time the vintage collection one rolled in, I wasn't buying like heavy back then. Again, I was more like cherry picking some of the figures, but almost no ships. And again, I regret that now, of course, because they're worth or their market
So much.
price now is
Mhm.
5, 10 times
Yep.
what it was back then. So I was happy to add that one because I didn't up I ended up paying I think $80 for it.
That's a good
Uh,
deal. That's a really
yeah,
good deal.
so and
Yep.
it was in good shape, sealed and everything. So I was like, yeah, you know what, I got to pull the trigger on this one. But before that, I think the closest one I came to buying was 140, 150 maybe.
That thing
So
used to be like $40 at Target when it first
exactly,
came out. I remember buying that.
yep,
And it was like 40. Even then, that was like $40. Ooh, that's a lot
yeah,
for a ship,
yeah, exactly. And I
But
mean, back then, I was a student, so there wasn't a whole lot of disposable income, to go
yeah,
around.
yeah, your money's
Um,
going elsewhere. Yeah,
yeah, oh yeah,
oh
definitely.
yeah,
Whatever little money I had, of course.
definitely. All right, man, cool. Well, you kind of answered my second question a little bit, but we'll go into it a little bit further.
Sure.
So you are a YouTuber, obviously. What made you go down this humongous rabbit hole, and what
right?
are your main goals for your channel? What do you want to see happen? If I said, man, where do you see yourself in 2, 3, 4 years? Are
Right,
you
right.
like Shartimus? Are you like right where you're at? Where are you at in a couple years?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because only recently have I personally felt a shift in my YouTube channel. To put things in perspective, I've been doing YouTube since June of last year. Okay, that's when I started. It took me 6 months to get 100 subscribers.
Ooh,
Okay,
yeah. Hmm.
it was a grind. Like it took me a long time. Uh, I felt like giving up, plenty of times. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I literally don't know what I'm doing in any aspect of, I'm not good at filming. I'm not good at editing. I don't feel like I have a good presence in front of the camera, right? Like, I don't feel that people are getting engaged in my videos. And the subscriber count just about confirmed that, right? But I was like, you know what? Like you said, why am I doing this? Right? So I sat down and I was talking to my wife. I don't know, on a random night, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna shut it all down. It burns a lot of my free time, uh, and I'm not buying as much as maybe as much as I need to garner that viewership, right? Like to get people excited. Oh, look at this dude! He's buying everything, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's something that you've definitely have explored before. So I was like, well, do I go, and just shut it down? I mean, nobody's making me doing it, right? And she told me, she's like, look, like you're doing it for you, right?
Exactly.
You're doing it because it's fun. We don't live off of that, luckily. It's not your main source of income because there's no income, right? First of all.
Right.
Uh, but and I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. This is a hobby, right? Like I'm doing this for fun. I've already met some really cool people. I was like, I think uh, I've made contacts and I've made friendships that I would not have otherwise made, right? So I was like, if nothing else, I'll take that away from when I do walk away from it. Um, but I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm just gonna keep going. I'll film what I hunt. I'm doing it anyways. Honestly, like I'm still going up to stores and stuff. So why not just film it? Do a quick edit and throw it up. Uh, and yeah, so like I said, only sort of recently, maybe in the past like 3 4 months, have I felt that my channel has started like catch up or being, I guess, more recognizable, or maybe I'm just putting myself out there a little bit more.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I just reached this morning. I just reached 425 subscribers. So
Congratulations, man. That's a big
appreciate that.
milestone. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Well deserved.
I really appreciate that because, like I said, I want to say from like 325 to like 400. To cross the 400 mark, it felt like a grind, dude. I don't know what it was, but I felt like I was gaining 2 subscribers and losing one the next day. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like a constant, like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm about to hit, I don't know, 350, and then boom, 3 subscribers down. I'm like, oh, come on, and it took me like 2 weeks to get back to that point. Just sort of that, as I'm sure sort of that how do you call it, like tug of war, right? Like you're like, yes, I'm gonna hit 350, like, and you get the little notification, you just hit 350, and you update, and they're like, oh, but you lost one right now, so you're at 349. You're like, come on, man, like let me have the
Yep.
milestone, right?
That happened to me with 250. I hit 250 like I think 6 times
Oh
because I
yeah,
hit 250 and then it went big down and then it went 250 and then that's when
yeah,
I gave it up for a month. And I was like,
right,
screw this, I'm sick of hitting. And then it went down.
yeah,
But then, like you said, you kind of notice you noticed a change. You
yeah,
noticed a little bit of a change. And I got to tell you, man, you do this just like I do. The shorts really seem to garner a lot of interest because there's no attention span on YouTube. They
agreed,
garner a lot of interest, and you're just straight and to the point. And like you, I've had some of the biggest viewership totals on shorts as opposed to regular. videos.
Exactly.
You kind of feel shortchanged as a creator. You're like, this took me like 60 seconds to make. I spent like 3 hours making this other one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's just like,
I
come
started
on.
experimenting with that with shorts, right? When I saw other people, start doing it, I was like, yeah, why not? And again, I didn't really know what I was doing. And my first short, I want to say like 15 views. I was like, wow, this is abysmal, right? Like I see people with in the millions, right? Not that I thought I was gonna get it, but I was like, I was expecting, I don't know, maybe 1,000 views. Um, and then who was it? I think it was Sleeping Collectibles. He messaged me one night. He's like, "Hey man, I don't." He's like, "I don't mean to intrude." He's like, "I don't mean to like offer unsolicited advice." He's like, "But you didn't put any tags on that video." He's like, "So he's like my stuff." He's like always does bad if I don't add tags, whether it be on the title or in the description or everywhere, right?
Yep.
And I was like, of course, like that makes perfect sense, right? Sure enough, I did that for my second video and I got like 800 views.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like that is just insane, right? But to your point, yes, definitely. So shorts, what I found is sort of like a funnel, right? It's sort of like a big neon sign for here I am, please notice me, senpai,
Absolutely.
and come in and check out the rest of the stuff, basically. So I've had people stick around, of course, for the rest of the longer format, videos, and I've made, again, I've had people that now we interact a lot more, and now we're on more of a regular basis. But the biggest, I guess, jumps in subscriber count, like you mentioned, have been because of a short, right?
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
couple of shorts, depending.
Which
Those are
honestly,
the
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean those
Hey,
are honestly like the single how can I say it? The single most contributing videos
mhm.
to subscriber right count, like we mentioned. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like you said. There's no attention span. I mean, it's all about the instant
Right.
gratification, right?
Right.
Uh, and so yeah, I totally agree with you. I try to post it more often, but honestly, I feel like you said, you feel a little bit cheated because you're like, "Yeah, I'm not putting that much effort into this, or I'm just trying to do quick highlights or stuff like that and just throw something up there." But that's the one that gets the views, right? Like that's the one that gets
Absolutely.
the big numbers of views. So I try to balance it out with the longer format videos, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean about feeling kind of like, really, guys, like this is what you like.
Let me get back to the chat real quick. Rolando, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Michael Cherry, thank you for joining. If you guys have any questions for the general as I'm going along doing my thing, throw them in the chat. My questions are not gospel, so if you've got some, please let it fly. So, um, what is your ultimate goal then? What's your ultimate goal for YouTube? Do you think it? I mean, I know you want to get to 500 right now. That's your short term, but what would you say your long term?
Yeah, so honestly, the only reason why I say 500 is one because it's a nice milestone, but also it's meant to unlock your community tab, right? Um, and I think like you've seen it, I do this combo with Instagram for pictures and like announcements and stuff, and then obviously YouTube for the actual videos, etc., right, or the live sessions. So I like to start integrating all of that into YouTube, right? Like if I have my community tab, I can start posting, more stuff out there for the people that only follow me on YouTube. Because that's like, that's the other thing, right? Sometimes you gotta funnel people from one social
Oh, yeah.
media to the other, right? And sometimes they're not necessarily how do I call it? They're not necessarily your same audience. Like you might have your guys on YouTube, right, that follow you or watch your lives, and then you got the guys on Instagram that always comment your on your pictures, etc. And they might not be the same people. And you're like, can we, can you please come over here and check this out? And you guys, can you jump over here and check this out? And it doesn't always work out. So that's why I'm hopeful to get my community tab just so that I can start posting more stuff there. I think like anybody else, I would like to reach 1,000 subscribers. That is, I know that a lot of people, that's the milestone, like that's the goal, that's like it has to happen. I'm not, married to that idea that if I don't reach 1,000 subscribers, my channel is a complete failure. Because honestly, I've had a blast doing it already. So if I stay at 425, and that's it, like I do not gain a single more subscriber, I'm okay with that, right? I'll probably keep doing this. I will, start keep trying to do live shows to talk to you guys. Keep having people like yourself, on my show, so that we can just, discuss just like we're doing it right now. Uh, that to me, honestly, is how can I say it? That's the gratification in on its own. Just meeting cool new people that are just as nuts about toys as I am, right? Uh,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Hard to find in public.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I have maybe one or two friends, like I said, that through the years that I've met, right? But that's about it. Whereas here on YouTube, again, there's plenty of us, right? And honestly, I've had really good experiences here in the community. I think that's by far the best part of this YouTube journey that I've been on. Just getting to know people, that share the same passion as you do, speak the same language, right, as you do. And so just having fun together, honestly.
Absolutely, man.
So
I mean, I
so
never
like I
would have
said,
met you if it never
yeah,
not.
exactly,
It's like, come on, this is
exactly,
perfect.
yeah. And like you said, again, I go back to your video because you really hit the nail on the head for me. The thing about reaching out, as I mentioned, it took me 6 months to get to 100 subscribers, right? But I wasn't really networking. I wasn't
Yeah.
really, I was watching, other people and commenting on their videos and stuff like that, but not nearly as much as I could have. I could have jumped through other channels that I knew existed, and that could have led to other channels, etc. So it was a lot like what you mentioned about the, I guess, the false expectation of people will come to me, right?
Oh
If
yeah.
I put myself out there in a video, right, I am somehow approachable, and and people have to reach out to me, right? Like if
Right.
I put a video, then the comments should come to me. Then other people, wanting to join should come to me. Which is just, it does happen. I'm not gonna say, that's impossible. It does happen, but it's a lot less people, right? Then if you start putting yourself out there and be like, hey guys, this is me, this is what I like, this is what I do. If you ever want to talk about it, right, I'm here, or you can find me here or here, whatever, right? And so that is definitely a shift that I've seen this year. Again, personally, and again, personally in my channel. So and I know you've talked about that also. So again,
Yeah.
I give.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just meant like that's why I keep just drilling you on that video, because you were dead on, man. Like honestly, so
Honestly, man, the reason I made that video and the reason I made a couple videos is like I wish I had that when I started. I wish I had
exactly.
seen something like that because it might have scared me straight and I might not have done it.
Hey,
So that's the
I
whole
agree.
reason I made those videos. It's like I want to offer anybody else because I know there's a few YouTubers out there that are scared of competition, that sort of thing. I'm not. I consider it all like brotherhood and stuff like that. So it's like I want to give people as much information as I can to know what you're getting into because I didn't have that. I know you didn't have that. So it's
I,
like you kind of feel a responsibility as
yeah,
a sort of seasoned YouTuber to offer that support and be like, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. You want to get involved in this, but here's kind of what you need to know before
exactly.
you get into it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like make an informed decision. And like you mentioned, right? I mean, don't burn yourself out. Right.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's one thing
Yep.
that I keep seeing, even with the bigger channels. Like it's not a, how can I say it? It's not a small YouTube channel thing, right? To get burned out.
Oh no.
By no means.
Oh
But
yeah.
and so I've been really enjoying, like I said, all those segments that you've been sharing with the community. I think they're nuggets of gold, honestly, because like you said, if I would have
Appreciate
seen
that.
that a year ago when I first started, it would have been a whole different experience for me. Again, at least those first 6 months, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I keep saying like, let's hit 100 subscribers. Why aren't we hitting 100 subscribers, right? Like, I don't get it. I'm saying it in the video, but people aren't doing it,
You're
right?
even offering up free stuff.
Exactly, right? Like, I
Still no
don't
one wants
like.
to do it. I
What
remember
else do you want from me?
I remember I found I think it was in my second or third month on YouTube. I found the Symbiote Spider-Man, uh, the retro card one.
Yes, love
And
it.
I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get me 1,000 easy because no one could find that figure.
Right.
I think I
Right.
lost a subscriber off of it. I didn't get not one subscriber.
Yeah.
It's like the one I do now, the 500 subscriber. Not one new subscriber since doing. I'm like, okay, I'm keeping
Dude,
my
and
stuff
you know
right
what's
now.
funny? I saw your short announcing your 500 subscribers, giveaway, and immediately because I announced it on my live last weekend, but I am also giving away the.
Oh, that's where the subs are going. See, that's where they're going right there.
I'm also giving that away,
Okay.
and this guy just
Oh
FYI.
man, see, we're on the same
Yeah.
wavelength, man.
And I'm trying to add so what I think I'm gonna do is have those two be the main price, right? But I think I'm gonna add something else for like a second place, right? Like a runner up.
Yeah, no, that's a
Price.
great idea. That's a good idea.
So I still don't know what it is. I've even thought about not making it Star Wars. Making it something else. Maybe I don't know, G.I. Joe or Power Rangers or something like that. I don't know. There's quite a bit out there, right? Motu. I mean, Motu's always
She's
huge.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm still thinking about that. But I mean, I'll try to work it out one of these days because I want to announce it. And yeah, man, like I said, right now I'm just pushing to get to that 500 number. Like I said, more than anything for the community tab, I'm hoping to finally unlock that.
Definitely. Gilster, what's up, man? Thanks for coming
Hey,
by.
what's going on?
Legacy of Nerd. I know he's a huge follower of yours, so good to see you, man. If you guys have any questions for the general, I know most of the people on here are on your live a lot or been on mine, so they kind of know us. But if you guys come up with any questions you want to ask us, please let us know. I'm kind of grilling my good friend here, General Kenobi. And we're gonna get few more questions for you, my friend.
Sure.
I was gonna ask you what your favorite toy line is, but I think that's kind of obvious, man. So we're gonna go into something that I don't really have an answer to. So hopefully you have one.
Although I will say this though,
Yeah.
Black Series has been my main line for quite a bit, but now with that whole Windowsless thing, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I'm gravitating a lot more towards the vintage collection as of late.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. And I tell you what, if they had done the vintage collection, what they're doing to the Dungeons and Dragons line, I'd be out on that too.
Yeah,
because I've seen
agree.
the horror stories already with that packageless crap that they're putting out.
Yeah,
like I don't even want to. I mean, it's hard not to pre-order stuff that you see, and it's like it's just habit, But right now, it's too big of a chance with those prices and stuff. So
yeah, especially
yeah, no way. So if you have a Grail, and if you do you think you're ever going to be able to obtain it?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I would say for the Black Series, my Grail is a 4-pack from the second wave or around that time. So it's already 8-9 years old. It's a 4-pack that was exclusive to Walmart in Mexico only, right?
Yep.
Mind you, the figures are the same, right? It's Han Solo, Slave Leia, and now I'm blanking out now that I'm on the spot.
Greedo.
And Greedo, yes.
Yep.
And so the figures are the same, right? Like they are no way different. But again, they were only offered in that 4-pack at Walmart, Mexico, right? Like exclusive.
I've never seen it. Costco. Was it Walmart? I think you're right. It was. I remember seeing it online at Walmart. I think you're right.
Yeah. So it's bad enough that it's Walmart, right?
Yeah.
But to have it be Walmart Mexico on top of that, that's just icing on the cake. So I've never seen it, and so I would love to have it, but at the same time, it goes for pretty crazy prices, right? Because there wasn't that many made, first of all, right?
When it first came out, I think it was pretty affordable. I think it was pushing $150.
Yeah, exactly.
That only lasted for like a year or two, and then after that, it's kind of like the Who Shot First Greedo and Solo 2-pack.
Yeah,
same kind of deal. It was I remember seeing that at Toys R Us. I mean, they had an end cap just full of
Exactly.
stuff,
Just yeah,
and now it just exploded. So exactly the
yeah,
same kind of deal. Yep.
yeah. So I'm torn between that one and the well, there's always the Order 66 pack, right? But that's not necessarily like, because they are reissuing a lot of those figures anyway. We know we're halfway there with the 501st in the archive and the 212 on the Walgreens, right?
Yep.
So we're slowly but surely getting reissues of those. Um, but there's also the SDCC, what is it, 2013, that Boba Fett with the honey carbonite,
Yep.
that nice like
Yep.
display package. I want that thing. That thing is nice. And I know they put out better Boba Fett's by now. They've already put out the honey carbonite, right, which I do have on card somewhere. Uh, so technically, I own those figures, but again, to me, it's like the presentation, right? It just
Right.
looks, it just looks nice. But it does go for what is it, probably around 300, 400 right
Yeah,
now.
it's at least in that
It's
area. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's when you start talking about like hot toys territory in terms of price, you really gotta be like, oof, do I really really want it, or do I go
Exactly.
buy a couple of hot toys maybe, like
Exactly.
so
Okay.
yeah, the but I would say my personal grail that I have here in my collection is that Obi-Wan Kenobi
Is
in
that
the
the command, the general?
well, the one on the episode 1
Oh yeah. Yep.
card, because that one Ewan McGregor autographed it for
Nice.
me this past May at a celebration, and I sent that for grading at CAS. That's the first thing I ever sent to get graded, uh, and I got a 90 on it.
Ooh,
So
nice.
that thing is like, because I bought that in 2019 at Celebration in Chicago at the Hasbro booth. So it's sort of like a mixture of different like special things, right? That all wrapped up into one figure. So that's one of
Nice.
my favorite pieces in my collection, and hopefully it will never leave my collection, right? But that's a big one for me.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a good girl to have. Black Series wife. How about vintage collection? Do you have one for vintage collection? There's a lot of good stuff that's really expensive for
There
vintage
is.
collection.
And
You
you know
know,
what? That's about the only thing I can say good on Hasbro. They're sort of knocking down those Grail,
they are. Hmm.
because they've been reissuing it a lot of stuff, right? In the past, I want to say maybe maybe about 3 years now. Uh, Things like Shea Vizsla, right, that just
Yep.
came out.
Yep.
I have the original one. She's down there. You can't see her. And I did buy the reissue because why not, right? But and it is a different figure, right? Like the head sculpt is completely different.
It's actually better.
Yeah, it is better.
Yep.
Exactly, it is better. Some paint touch-ups here and there on the armor, but overall, I would say just about the same. But they just did it with that Ahsoka, for example. That Ahsoka has been, probably I would say on the top 2 or 3 most expensive of the regular release, figures, right? That
Oh yeah.
Ahsoka from Clone
Easily.
Wars,
Hmm.
and they just re-released her, and again, she looks great. I mean, honestly, right? If you are basing in your purchase just on the figure, I'd say get the new one, right? Because it does look better.
Hmm.
So of course, there's people that are purists and they want the first issue, sorry, because the card is different on the back. You show different figures in the back, etc. Right? Like there are differences.
Yep.
But so the next one that I'm hoping for, to knock down that Grail status, is Galen Merrick, Starkiller from the Force Unleashed. I don't have one. I don't have one. I
That's
didn't get it.
that's a tough one. I used to have
Yeah.
one that came in the Black Series packaging. I used to have that one,
Yes. Yes.
but I was an opener, so I took him out. But the
Yeah.
vintage collection one, that
Yeah.
is a tough one. That one is
Exactly.
super tough. Yep. Yep.
I won one, right? I don't necessarily want to pay what they're asking for still, right?
Right.
uh, but that because I got to meet Sam Witwer back in Celebration, and he's super cool, by the way. He's just awesome. Like this guy geeks out just like the rest of us. But the one that I took to sign was the Clone Wars, the Darth Maul like family pack, where it's Darth
Oh
Maul,
yeah. Hmm.
Mother Talzin, and Sebastian Press.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so he did the voice, right? So he signed that one, and I was like, man, I wish I had a Star Killer figure, right? To for him to sign. But I looked it up at the time, and it was still like, like 280, 300, and I was like,
That's
no, like
insane.
that's too
That's
much. I think it's come down since, but still, I was like, back then, I was like, I can't
no.
shell out that kind of money. Like
No.
it's irresponsible,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You
uh,
gotta
yeah.
stay on the
So
budget, man.
yeah, exactly. So like I said, I would love to have a Star Killer for the vintage collection, but again, as things have been going in the past couple of years, I'm just playing the waiting game because I'm almost, I'm very hopeful that Hasbro will reissue the figure. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I would think it'd be a good bet. I never thought they'd reintroduce Shea Vizsla, honestly,
No,
because
same
that thing
here.
went for major money too. Same with the clone, the General Obi-Wan, the Anakin from Clone Wars, the Ahsoka from
Yep.
Clone Wars, the Royal Guard. That entire they haven't re-released the Unknown yet, but that entire entertainment was it Entertainment Earth. I think it was that case that you could only
Yes.
get through them, and it was like one case per person. It was just
Exactly.
Greedo and a Speedo. What's up, man? Oh
Hey, what's
man,
going on, brother?
we are graced with that man's
I
presence.
know.
Dang, JJ, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, what's going
You
on,
you
guys?
guys are late, but you're in. Good to see you guys. If you guys have any questions, obviously I'm talking to General Kenobi, so we're just kind of talking about Star Wars. We might be two of the biggest Star Wars nerds in the entire realm of YouTube, so
Yeah.
that's why we get along so well. But
Oh yeah.
going back to it, man, I really think they will reintroduce almost all of
I
them.
think so too.
You
You
know,
know which one
it's
I also I sort of wish I would have gotten it before, even at higher prices, because thanks to Andor, I think it's gonna go up. That evolution pack for Galen Merrick
oh yeah.
for Star
That
Killer,
Sith Lord
the
was dynamite. That was
yes,
a great
yes,
figure. Yep. Yep.
exactly, yeah,
Yep.
and um, so that's the light side, the dark side, right? The Sith, and then the regular Galen Merrick. So I don't know. I haven't checked lately after Andor dropped that Easter egg. I don't know if it rose or not. I haven't kept up with the prices lately, but I would bet that it had to had a little spike, if nothing else.
Oh, I don't
Because
doubt it. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, those evolution packs themselves. I know that since he was looking for one, and the evolution pack just for the pilots was like 150, just for
exactly.
the X-wing, A-wing pilots, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
there's no way I could do anything that I used to do back when those things first came out. When those things first came
Oh
out, I think
man,
they were like $20.
yeah.
You know,
So I was lucky enough. When was it? Back in 2019, maybe. I bought the Boba Fett evolution, but it comes with Mandalore. The
yep,
ancient like.
yep.
So it comes with Mandalore, Boba, or Mandalore, Django, and Boba, I believe. And then the Mandalorian drops, and anything and everything Mandalorian just went,
Yeah,
skyrocket.
skyrockets, skyrocket.
Um,
Yep.
I paid what was it, 35, maybe $40 for that pack, sealed, right? And I was like, yeah, you know what? I never got it. Like I should get it. Like it's cool. And I picked it up just on a whim. And then sure enough, right, it went to like 150 like in a couple of months. Like it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you just never know what's gonna happen.
That's right.
I in no way, just like you, I don't buy toys to resell. I get lucky sometimes. I do watch the market,
Sure.
and if it's going up and I know that I don't really need it or something, I'll sell it. I'm not
Oh
trying to
yeah.
make money or scalp it or anything, but I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a good thing. What you said the other day, I commented on yours right away. Sometimes
Yeah.
you need to sell things to get things.
Oh yeah.
If you want bigger,
Absolutely,
better
man.
things, you got to sell some stuff. Me and my wife got an agreement with that. I don't always hold up to it, but
Yeah, hey.
you got to do that sometimes. So
She doesn't always have to know,
I
right?
just hope she's not watching.
Yeah, right. Whoops.
Oops. Anyway, it's like I think that's a good thing to do and a responsible thing to do is just kind of,
Absolutely.
if you're tired of something but you see that it's gone up, go for
Why
it. Sell
not?
it to
Right?
get new
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I put that into practice quite a bit. As I was mentioning, and I've said it on my channel, so it's not like it's a big secret. I got laid off, right, a couple of years back, and it was the first time in my life where I was out of work, right? Ever since I started working, I just kept working,
Hmm.
right? You don't really stop. So I got laid off, with COVID and all that stuff, right? As many people did. I'm not looking for
Right.
sympathy or tears. All I'm trying to just set up the context of this. Um, so I still wanted to buy stuff, right? As we all do, right? But I couldn't, right? It was just not,
Yeah.
it was just not the responsible thing to do. But as you mentioned, right, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of, especially for the Black Series, there's a lot of those red box, figures that I'm not 100%, in love with. That I picked up either on sale, clearance. They were not gifts, but people would tell me like, hey, check this out. I bought like this lot. We'll trade this many for one of yours and stuff. I was like, yeah, sure. Point is, I had a lot that I wasn't, necessarily enjoying, right? Um, so I was like, you know what? I think it's a good time. Why not put them out there and see if I can fetch anything from them and just use that to pick up one or two. And so I started doing that, and it was great because first of all, it gave me a little bit of space back. That already was a win. I mean, I had bins of this stuff, and I was like, why? Like I'm not even enjoying them really.
Yeah.
Uh, so why not? Let's try to sell them. Let's see how much we can get. And don't get me wrong, there wasn't anything crazy or top dollar there that I was like, oh yeah, I sold this one figure and that helped me up for 6 months. By no means, but it did translate into, hey, I sell one, maybe I can buy one, right? Or I sell two. If I sell them cheaper, maybe I can buy one of the ones that are in store right now. So that's sort of the dynamic where that I was applying those days to. If I wanted something, okay, then I need to sell something, right?
Right.
To sort of, go that route. So it helped out. Like I said, it was good. I got to meet, cool people too that I didn't know would collect, stuff like that. So definitely, I am not a scalper. I don't buy as many because when I picked up that guy, the boba, there was about four of them. I grabbed two, one for myself and one for the giveaway because I thought it'd be,
Absolutely. Yeah.
a cool item to give away. And I left the rest of them. I posted them on Facebook on our local group. Hey guys, if anybody needs, they're right here, right? Come and get it. Uh, but as you mentioned, right, if there's sometimes there's stuff we're not absolutely in love with in our collection. So it's always good to keep an eye out on the market because you might be sitting on a little bit of cash, right?
Absolutely.
That I don't think anybody would turn down, right? A
No.
little bit of
No
extra
way.
scratch. That happened to me with the where is it? With the Mando in the white box, that guy right there. Uh, so I missed him on the day of launch. He was just gone, right, swept away. But I found one on Facebook. I think that same night, and the guy sold it to me for like I want to say like $50, right? And I was like, ah, man, freaking $50, right? But FOMO, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it. So I got it. And then as I had put out like a post on Facebook, hey guys, I'm looking for, white box Mando. And then the next day somebody else mentioned me, he's like, hey man, if you're still looking for one, I got one for $40, right? And I was like, oh man, like I just bought one for 50. Like, I'm like, damn it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up the $40 one because the one that I had bought for 50 had a torn top.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it wasn't open, but it was like crunched up a little bit. I was like, yeah, like and I told him send me pictures, and stuff, and he's like, yeah, and it was nice. Like the box was fine. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy this one and then I'll just sell the other one for $40 and call it even. Uh, so anyway, my point is that I had to, right? And then the thing just starts going up, right? Like in the next few weeks, like it just starts going up in value. So I was like, you know what? I have two. I don't particularly need two. I bought one, or I bought both of them expensive, right? So I was like, maybe I can sell one and sort of cover the cost of both. And so that's what I did. I sold one of them for $90. I remember $90 on eBay. And off it goes. I'm like, dude, like I made out like a bandit, right? Like I paid for my figures. Maybe like a month later, that thing was like 150, 160. I know it, I think it's come down since, but I know
It
it
has.
it,
It's
it
gone
hit.
below 200 now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I know it hit, it was inching away from like $300 at one
It
point.
was.
Like it got kind
When
of
the
crazy.
show came on, or after, I think it
Exactly.
was season 2,
Yeah.
it was pushing 3, and then
Yeah.
slowly it I
Yeah.
remember the
Exactly.
black
And
box
started
version was putting no, it wasn't that, it was the carbonized.
the
I wanted the
carbonized. Yeah.
carbonized forever, and that was like 70, $80.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And even so of course I was like, dang it, if I would just hold it like I don't know,
yeah,
even 3 months, right? Yeah, I could have made
you
twice
just
my
never
money maybe.
know. Yeah,
But yeah, but exactly. But it's just one of those things that you never know. And like I said, since I don't buy to resell, I'm not 100% up to date with the demand or anything like that. Um, but yeah, so it's just one of those things, right? Uh, I'm not beating myself over it. I'm just saying, as an example, like it just happens, honestly.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, man. It's like nothing that I have in my collection, because I was in the same boat as you. I've had to sell my collection off 3 times, either due to loss of a job or needing
Sure.
funds or
Yeah.
whatever. So again, COVID, that sort of thing. But I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when I was in my late 20s, I had a huge 3 3/4 inch collection, like 1,700 figures, 200 plus
Oh,
vehicles, whole thing. Lost
dang.
my job, sold it all off. I mean,
Sure.
it kept me going for almost a year, and it's like,
Wow.
wow, I didn't,
Yeah.
it was then when I was like, maybe I got a little bit of a problem here. Because it's like that kept me
Right.
going for a year, that money, and it's like, wow. And then, some people were just crazy enough to pay whatever. I used to do customs back then, painted up a couple
Nice.
Mandos and stuff. I remember selling one old the arena battle Jango Fett, the one that had the
Uh
shooting
huh.
rocket. I painted
Yeah.
him like blue and red. He went for like $100. I was like,
Wow.
that's a
Nice.
sloppy paint job and it's $100. All right. I'll take it. I need the money.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
I always thought too. It's like it's almost like having a savings account in a way,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because if you ever run into hard times, you can hop on eBay, you can hop on Mercari, you can sell some of
Sure.
this
Yeah.
stuff,
Absolutely. I mean,
and it'll keep you going.
yeah, and I know, especially now, right? We have more clarity on how quickly things can shift, right?
Yeah.
And so, push come to shove, all of this goes right. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
um, of course, we're talking about absolute worst case scenario, right? But it's not, it's not. How can I say it? This is not a hill that I will die on. All right. Me trying to keep my collection when I know that, other areas would suffer, right?
Mm.
By no means. And so, yeah, definitely, it's up to us to be like responsible collectors, right? uh, because again, we have other responsibilities, right? Most of us got family, got jobs, got et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So it's always, collecting is fun, and it brings us joy and everything, but again, it's still a hobby, right? We're fortunate enough to be able to do it, but if one day we have to stop, then that's what we got to do, right?
Absolutely,
um, so
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, exactly, Greedo.
Greedo's
You
right on
are,
with that,
yeah,
especially
right
nowadays.
on the money.
Nowadays, you can buy a figure that looks good, but you get it out of the package, you're like, I spent like how long looking for this? You take all that time into consideration. You take all the gas you spent looking for it. Either
Yeah,
that or, dodging pre-orders back and forth on Amazon, Big
agree.
Bad, whatever you're doing, and you get it out, and it's just this. You just run out of air in your system. You're like, I can't believe I spent all this time looking for this piece of crap.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the way. And now that we don't see what we're getting, it's
Oof,
really hard. It's
it
really
really is.
hard to invest this kind of money now into buying what could potentially be a complete piece of crap. So, Greedo, you
Yeah,
are absolutely right on the money with that, my friend. All right. So, I'm going to hit you with one more question.
sure, shoot.
Your favorite YouTuber, other than me, of course, who is your
Obviously.
favorite YouTuber out there right now, my man? And why? And it doesn't even have
So,
to be toy related. It can be anybody. If you want to say Mr. Beast, I should probably
right?
hashtag Mr. Beast on here. But
Yeah,
if you want to
right.
say Mr. Beast, then
Get some
okay.
of that giveaway money.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I'd say there is two, and they sort of taught me different things when I was starting up, and even now. Don't get me wrong. One of them I mentioned, Sleeping Collectibles. because the man is a freaking machine. Okay, he just goes. All right, like he's out there every single day, pretty much. He's building up his brand like nobody's business. Uh, and and how do you call it? I've seen him be successful, right? But when I started, following him, he was already, well on his way. But he's just exploded. He's got deals with clothing lines now. His TikTok blew up. But it he basically taught me there's no like silver bullet, right? It's just
Yeah.
do the work, right? If this is something that you want to do, put in the work, right? And learn off of other people. Don't necessarily copy, but take advice, take hints from other people that are being successful at it. Um, the other one is his name is Joey, the Padawan Collector. I don't know if you guys have checked it out. His
I don't
channel.
think I've seen it.
Um, so I met him when he was just starting off on YouTube last year, and he found my channel for some reason. My channel was already way smaller than his at that time. He was inching to 500 back then, 500 subscribers. I mean, and I was like I said, I was still struggling to get 100. Right. Anyway, so this guy started collecting the Star Wars vintage toys, the actual vintage ones, right? Like the one from 77 to 85. And he started from scratch. Okay, so that's not to say that nobody else has done this, but the amount of research this guy does, like to put into his videos, is incredible. Okay, any topic that he would talk about, you would walk away 100% more knowledgeable. He talked from everything from variations, countries of origin, grading, Facebook groups, things like, oh, should you really buy on eBay or not? Or, should you go Mercari? Should you go whatnot, et cetera, right? So again, and, we've stayed in contact. We've been good friends now, but he just crossed 20,000 subscribers, right?
Nice.
So, which is insane.
That's big
right?
for toy hunters. That's big.
Exactly. For toy hunters, first of all, and then second, and honestly, for Star Wars, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of Star Wars content out there, okay? And there's some people that have been doing it for years and years, right? And so to be able to bust into the scene like he did is something very impressive, honestly. But again, it's putting in the work, right? He joined every single like Facebook group out there, to try to get information. He got burned more than a couple of times, buying off of eBay or buying off from sellers, and it turned out to be a repro or something like that, right? But all of that he took and he shared it, and he built off of that, right? Build off knowledge. So that's something that I've tried to integrate into my channel is, if I find something, or if I get burned, or if maybe I made a bad purchase, right? I try to share it. Okay, because I'm like, maybe I can save the next guy a few bucks.
Absolutely.
Right? If I tell him, hey, you know what, man? I don't know. Like, I was super excited for this figure. Now that I have it in hand, I don't know if it's worth the 30, 40 bucks that that you're gonna have to shell out. So stuff like that, right? That I've picked up from them. But yeah, and from you, honestly, I've been picking up a lot, man, into the sharing of the knowledge, like you said. Me personally, I really appreciate those videos. I really like them a lot, and I know that you're doing them with the best of intentions to help out. Because, like you said, it would have been a different experience if somebody would have sat us down and be like, "Hey, man, this is sort of how it goes, right? When you start off, nobody will come to you, right? There's plenty of us out there, so don't feel like you're God's gift to YouTube,
right.
And just have fun, right? I know that's cliche, whatever you want to say it, but really that is heavily overlooked sometimes. We get into the numbers, mentality. It's like I have to hit 10 subscribers just today. Like if I don't, then I'm doing something wrong. And you see 3, and you're like, damn it, like I didn't do it. Well, then tomorrow I need 17, to make up for today. Like, no, right? Like, again, it's supposed to have fun. right?
Right.
If
There's no pressure here. No one says
exactly
you have to go a
that
certain place, you know.
exactly, and that's that's something that took me, like I mentioned, that's something it took me also a while to sort of figure out on my own, right? Again, it took me quite a bit to reach the first the first 100 subs, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going about it the wrong way. Like, yes, I'm having fun, but I'm also in the back of my mind, like, why am I not blowing up? Why am I not, going viral? Why am I not, doing this? Um, and it falls to you to just reassess, redirect, if needed, right? And remember that all of this is for fun. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
why I love what you did, in the terms of knowing when to sort of put a pause on it. You took a look at what was going on, with your channel, right, and with yourself, obviously, and said, you know what, maybe this is necessarily what I want to do, or not specifically this way, right? I think I'm going to shift over to here, and in my personal opinion, it's worked out really good for you. I mean, I've honestly, I've enjoyed, I've enjoyed your videos a lot more, to be honest. And like I said, those videos where you talk about some of the real stuff again into collecting, uh, I don't see many of those. Is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah, and again, I really think it is kind of I take it upon myself as a responsibility. And when I first started, I really thought I needed like a cliche thing, a niche thing, a way to
sure,
stand out. I didn't know there was a few other cowboy collectors. I just assumed there wasn't. So, but
right,
it was such a crutch. I mentioned this last week when I was talking to Ed. I was like, it was such a crutch because I'm not really one to. I'm a little shy in this kind of regard, like always with people at first, but once I get going, then I go. So it's like I was just kind of afraid to do that. And I thought, I can kind of hide behind the mask,
sure,
so to speak, and it was like, well, after a while, it just got to be such a burden. It's like, well, I can't do certain shots. I can't talk about certain things. I can't act a certain way. I have to keep up this
no, of
persona
course,
I've created. And it was like,
yeah,
this is like, feels like it's holding me back. I'm more worried about the voice and the mask and the
sure,
hat and
yeah,
everything than sharing what I like about this. And it's like I didn't actually start approaching people on Instagram and stuff like with you, with Sentry, with Ed and stuff until I ditched the mask because it's
right,
like I just didn't feel comfortable doing it.
yeah, yeah,
It's
I
like,
understand
man, if
that,
I
yeah,
meet up one of these guys, what am I gonna do? Sit there with a mask and a hat on the whole time?
sure, yeah,
It's
right,
it's just not gonna work. And it's like
yeah,
if you don't the way I see it, man, if you don't like it, don't watch it. It's
oh,
cool. It's
absolutely,
all
yeah,
good, man. There's a
yeah,
ton of us, like we've said so many times. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you do watch it, thank you. you
yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when I first started, when I first started doing videos, it was more because I was about to move, and so I had to pack up the collection. So I figured, why not, record some of the stuff that I have as I'm
yeah,
putting it away, right? Um, but then I was like, you know what? So those were maybe like my first 3, 4 videos, right, on the channel, and I kept debating. I was like, do I need to make an intro, where I sit and like
yeah,
talk to the camera? I was like, hey guys, today we're gonna go through my, I don't know, my red box, Black Series, and we're gonna put them away and whatever, right? And I was like, nah, that's dumb. Like, nobody wants to see me, right? Like, they're here for the collection, and so that's sort of how I did it the first time. And then everything was packed up, so I had like nothing to show, and I
right,
was like,
right.
well, I've seen toy hunting videos by that point. I was like, you know what? I'm doing it anyways. Might as well uh, record it, put
Might
it
as well
up
film
there.
it. Yep.
Exactly. And so I did that, and I was like, people talk in these things, like, talk to the camera, and they say, we're here at whatever store, and I'm looking for this, and I didn't find that, and blah blah. I was like, I guess so. I was like, I'll try it, but dude, I hated it. Like the first few times, I was like, what am I doing? Like, you look
I did
dumb,
some test shots. I hated it. I was like, this
Yeah,
is so uncomfortable.
yeah,
Like nobody
exactly.
wants to listen to me talk
Yeah,
about freaking
yeah,
toys.
yeah.
And I mean, I'll be damned if 70,000 people ain't watched, between you and me and all these other guys. It's like, okay, I guess somebody wants to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny you say that because I had really good positive, feedback on that first actual toy hunt video that I put out, right?
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh yeah, you saw this. I didn't even see it, or I haven't seen it, stuff like that." So I was like, you know what, like this is cool. At least they weren't like, "Oh my god, like shut up, you sound horrible," which could have easily gone that way, right?
Yeah.
But again, as you interact with more people here in the community, you find out that that's more the norm, right? Like people are
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
supportive, which again, it's absolutely the best part of me having a YouTube channel is this community, honestly.
It definitely is, and that's another thing. I don't know if you've had trouble with this in the past, but I do have a little bit of trouble when it comes to initiating conversations and stuff. And one day I was just like, screw it. These are the guys I watch. I watch
Yeah,
General Kenobi. I watch Steve from Collecting Star Wars. I watch Sentry. I watch JB. I watch,
right.
all these guys. So I'm just gonna freaking message them. If they
Yeah,
respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't. I
exactly.
mean, we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'm like you
absolutely.
though. I grew up. I not grew up, but I started watching these kind of videos in 2016. I watched Cincy. I was diehard Cincy. Still watch his
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
not as much,
yeah,
but watch Cincy Nerd. Watch Josh Pence. Watched Greg Cook. But then it's like I've really gotten into the smaller guys. Not smaller guys, but the guys who are a little bit newer. So like yourself, Steve from Collecting Star Wars. And this is an
yeah.
interlude to my next guest, if you don't mind, which is
Very
next week.
nice.
Century TMC will be my guest on Monday. Special day and time, 7 o'clock Central. Don't miss Century. That's going to be interesting.
That's
I'm
awesome, man.
excited to talk to
Good job.
Century.
Oh
So
yeah,
we'll see how it
absolutely.
goes. But yeah, man, I'm right there with you. And I honestly, man, I appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you always
Oh
checking on my
man.
stuff, and it means a lot to me, man. That's
No,
that's really the biggest part of this because I know we watch each other's videos and we're pumping each other up, and I think that's what it really honestly takes is some of that. You know, uh, I
agreed.
I really think a lot of that is that's the reason I do it now. I could care less if I get to 1,000 subs or not. So, but these kind of
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
these kind of talks and stuff, that to me is what it's really about, man. So,
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate you having me, man. Like I said, I'm glad that you're doing this. That you're back on the live, on the live circuit here on YouTube. So keep going, man. I mean, you've been doing great. I mean, Sentry is, he's awesome. He's a freaking giant, and I've actually, I've meant to tell you earlier, but I'd love to have you on the high ground,
absolutely, man. You just
which
let
is
me know
my
the
love.
time. I
But
will be there. You just let
awesome,
me
man.
know
I
when.
appreciate that. So yeah, just so we basically keep, we can keep nerding on. But thank you so
Absolutely.
much for having me again. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, it's always cool to talk to somebody that is just as much into Star Wars as I am, and that it's actually keeping an eye out for the new stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
And again, but I think we're on the same boat. Like we're being a lot more selective these days than
Definitely.
before,
Definitely.
because dang, like seriously, I don't know where we're going with
It's
Hasbro, but
interesting
it's
times for sure,
yeah,
my friend.
that is definitely
Let's
true.
before I let you go, let's see if you guys have any questions. You guys are quiet in the chat. You're talking to each other, but you ain't talking to us. Let's see. Gilstar, G-Force, Racing, Autobot, Trash Talker, Collecting Star Wars, Thousandth Ghost, Trouble No Rules, Gary's Grails. Gary's Grails, that's one I've gotten into a little bit. Gary's a cool guy.
There you go.
Gotten
Yeah,
into him a little bit. Let's see.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, Collecting Star Wars. G-Force, I've seen his. Obviously, we've seen Ed. Come on, these are like
Yeah.
Ed's people right here. I appreciate you guys coming to mind though. Ed is a. I said this last week, but Ed is kind of the one that came to me. He pushed me back into the live stream, so I really owe it to Ed.
Nice.
So, I mean, my
That's good. Hey, like I
my
said, I'm glad. I'm
respect
glad
for
he did.
Ed is through the roof. Same with you, my friend. But my respect for Ed is just through the roof because he just keeps going, man.
Yeah.
All right, so JJ's asking, is there
Uh,
anything else you collect besides Star Wars?
yes, there is actually. So, in terms of actual lines, I don't collect. I don't collect Marvel except the retro carded Spider-Man stuff. So I just picked up this guy, which is the Target exclusive Bombastic Bagman. Uh,
Nice,
from
nice.
that those couple of issues in Fantastic Four. But I collect the this guy's here. We were talking about him earlier.
Yep, yep.
These guys here, I freaking love. Okay, this card right here. This is my childhood, right? I grew up watching that '90s, Spider-Man show, like probably most of us did. So these are, I'm in it for the nostalgia purely on these guys. But that's about it. I don't really connect anything else. Marvel Legends, I have picked up a couple of retros here and there, but just because they're at GameStop and I got the $5 off coupon or whatever, so I'll pick them up for $5.
Yeah.
I have them up. They're honestly more like decoration than me actually collecting.
Yeah.
And I do have I do have a few more toys. I don't know if you can tell just on this detail here. That's my one like random, detail that I allow myself to have. That's not Star Wars. So there's a bunch of stuff in there, including some of my old like childhood toys that are down there. Some TMNT, right there, and some Transformers. But again, those are actually from me as I was a kid.
I got to tell you, man, I sold off my Marvel Legends. I only got into it because of this channel, and I'm not a huge Marvel guy. Like, I'm more of a DC guy. But that figure you just showed, that symbiote Spider-Man, to me, if I had to pick a Marvel Legends figure for figure of the year, that thing is incredible how it moves. I mean, I've never had a figure with that kind of articulation. I was just messing with him a little bit one day. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this with a Black Series figure.
Yes, exactly. I'm hoping to get another one because I want to open it and like you said, just kind of display it because it is a great figure.
Did the price come down on those? Because that was getting pretty high, but then they came out with
exactly. Then they hit like everywhere, and I want to say you can even just jump on any of the sites, on the fan sites, and get him right now. So I'll probably just do that one of these days when I have enough on my my bag of loot or something to ship it. Because I want a second one, like I said. But on those, I'm all in it for the card. Like the card art is what sold me to begin with.
Phenomenal.
But they are good figures. Like there's some really good figures there. I hopefully pre-order on Walmart the new version of the Spider-Man, with the updated colors.
Oh yeah.
And I say hopefully because with Walmart, you never know. I mean,
did you order that Purge Trooper, or was it? What is the name of that?
That last one,
Kenobi. Yeah, the one from the Kenobi series.
Yeah, so I pre-ordered the Purge Trooper. What is it? Phase 1.
Phase 2.
Phase 2. That's right. Yeah. And I just pre-ordered. When was it? Friday. That ARC Trooper. Oh my God, I'm blanking out. Havoc, is it? From the Vintage Collection also. But it was.
I totally forgot about that. I need to get on there and get that if it's still there.
So grab yourself one of those. Because again, Walmart, right? I mean, first of all, exclusive. Which why?
I mean,
and then ARC Troopers
to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just I don't know.
It's crazy.
That thing was like $17 though. Because it's an exclusive, right? So we add on like $2 for nothing really. Yeah. But I love ARC Troopers. I love Clone Troopers first of all, and ARC Troopers are just I fell in love with them since like the comic books, and so I saw him and I was like, I have to have him. Like it's not even a question. So I pre-ordered one. I'm hoping it comes through. But I will definitely be looking for that out in stores. Like if I can get myself, my hands on one, like physically, I'll cancel my pre-order or pass it along to somebody that needs it or whatever. But I was like, I don't want to miss this one because it's cool. It's a nice figure.
Have you gotten into DC Multiverse at all?
I have not. I do enjoy DC. What was my last? Oh, the last DC pickup that I had was actually not technically not DC Multiverse, but it was one of those page punchers, the 6-inch ones.
Oh yeah.
I picked myself John Constantine.
Okay. Okay.
Which again, I had a little bit of luck because like the following, or like 2 days after that, maybe 3 days after that, that's when the news broke up that that Keanu was coming back as Constantine, in the new movie.
Oh, then it shot up. Then everybody wants it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, all right, like I'm good. Because I debated. I'll be honest with you. I picked it up in the video because I like John Constantine, the character, a lot, and I was like, it's a cool figure. Like it's not bad, So I picked it up, And then I was like, as I was driving home, I was like, it's not, I don't collect necessarily,
Right.
DC. I'm
Right.
like, but I really like John Constantine. I was like, and it's a good figure. It wasn't that expensive. I think it was 23, $24 maybe.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not horrible as things are going. Anyway, the point is that I kept like debating. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna return it, or or see if somebody needs it, whatever. And then the news broke out, and I was like, man, I think I'm just gonna keep
Gotta
it.
keep that thing, man.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
was like,
thing too.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just good to buy a figure that you think is cool. I bought a Black Adam with a throne the other day, just
oh,
because
that is
I don't
nice.
usually buy Black
Yeah,
Adam stuff, but I just thought it was so cool.
that is cool.
I saw
Yeah,
it at
I seen
Target
it.
and I just kept thinking about it. I was like,
Yes.
screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the
Yeah.
20 bucks. I don't care if I collect it or not. I used to
Yeah.
say that back in the day. If you think it's cool, buy it. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily
Exactly.
have to blend in with your collection, anything. You can have a random shelf of just whatever you want. It's your
Yeah.
collection,
Exactly. Like I said,
you
that's
know.
whoops. That over there, that this detail right here, that's my random,
Yeah.
space that I allow myself to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not to say it won't grow, in the future, but at least for now, I'm trying to keep it contained to that.
Gilster's
Um,
got a good question for you, man. What
sure.
line won't you collect? Or he goes even further. You won't let in the house.
Ooh,
That's got to
that
be a
is a good
bad line
question.
if you won't let it
Yeah,
in
that's
the
what I was gonna
house.
say. That's some straight
That's
up hate right
hardcore.
there.
Good question,
Um,
Gilster.
that is a good question, man. Putting me on the spot. I don't know what. Not that I like, not that I hate it by no means. I actually love them, but I'm terrible with Legos. I do not. I am not a patient guy. I've tried it a couple of times in my life to just sit down and build it to my pace. Not even putting myself on deadlines or anything like that. I did not enjoy it like one bit. Like I hated it, man. And again, that's all on me. I am not a patient guy, so I don't really have Legos. People have gifted them to me, in the past, as Christmas or like birthday presents, and they're still somewhere in bins, man. Because I'm like, you know what? Unless I can find somebody, then they're like, oh yeah, I enjoy building. I was like, dude, here you go, just give it to me back, like
It's a, hey, you can
once
save
it's
them for the
done.
giveaways, man. There you go.
Exactly,
Give
yeah.
away the
Now,
giveaway gifts.
now,
There you
yeah.
go.
Now I can unload them. But
It's
yeah,
funny
man,
that you
I
say that. My kids and my wife gave me the Seinfeld set for my
oh
birthday,
yeah, uh-huh.
and it took us like 2 weeks to build. And of
Yeah,
course, they want to do it. They're little, so they can't really do it too well. And it's
sure,
like the
yeah.
whole time, "Are we done yet?" I'm like, "Dude, I got like the first piece together. We ain't done."
Yep,
But I'm right there with you. It takes a ton of patience.
it does.
I actually have some of the Bandai model kits. I found the new Boba
Oh,
Fett from
nice.
Book of Boba Fett. Again, you need
Yes.
2.5 hours
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get that
solid.
going. So
I
I
did
totally get you on that.
I did a Gundam ship. You can't see it very well over there. It's one of the classic like Gundam ships that I've always wanted, to have. I love ships, first of all, starships, I should say. Not just Star Wars, but I love, for example, Battlestar Galactica. Some of the Star Trek ones, just the design of the ships I like. I like the Gundam ships, etc. So I could never find it already done, or a
Right.
diecast or something like that. And all I found was a model. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. I kind of want to have one on my shelf. I'm gonna build it, dude. I almost broke that thing like 3 times. Just like, you know what? Go away.
That's the kind of thing
So
where you're like, I'm just gonna throw it against the wall and
seriously,
I'll
I
eat
was
the
like,
money. Why not?
yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Like like I'm just having such a bad time. And I completed it. Like I was like, I have to see it through, and I have not built one ever since. This was like 2 years ago already.
I mean,
I can't. I don't know. Like I said, it's just me. That's has nothing to do. Legos are freaking amazing. All right, especially with those new sets that are coming out, like like the Razor Crest,
oh
the
yeah.
the LAAT ship. I mean, Star Destroyers. They always do them justice. But they're expensive, first of all.
I was gonna say the
Um,
price point is
yeah,
ridiculous. I
yeah,
mean, I don't remember the name of the ship, but it's in is it in Bad Batch? It's like a $200 ship.
yeah.
They've been getting more of the bigger ones too. The land speeder, it's like $200. I saw the Optimus Prime the other day. I was like, oh,
Oh,
I'm a huge Transformer guy. 180
yeah.
bucks. I'm like,
Exactly. I was gonna
oh
say.
man,
I saw it, and I
no
was like, it just
way.
makes perfect sense. Like, it's one of those things that it doesn't click until you see it. I'm like, how come we haven't had this like
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, this
before,
is
right?
40
Like,
years
it don't.
ago. Why haven't we not
Yeah,
had this?
yeah. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it didn't. Like I said, it didn't click until I saw it on the shelf. I was like, dude, this thing is gorgeous. Like, why haven't we had this like 20 years ago, right?
Well, then they try to get
Uh,
you, man. They're like, "Well, it transforms too." I'm like,
yeah,
"You
exactly.
bastards!" you
Yeah,
know, come
yeah.
on.
But
Kills
that
me.
one,
But it's like I could go get a Titan for that. My Titans are back there on the shelf. I could get a
yes.
damn
Oh yeah,
Titan for that. I'm not doing that.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because I mean, some of those newer Lego sets, like I said, those high end ones, they're what 700, $800.
Yeah. Yeah.
MSRP, right? Like on in the store. I mean,
Yep.
you missed out on those. They run out. Those things
Oh,
go
thousands.
exactly.
Thousands.
So I'm like,
That Millennium
I
Falcon
can't.
and that Star Destroyer, those things are thousands of
Yes.
dollars. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that Superstar Destroyer from what is it? Probably like 10 years ago by now. I mean, that thing still fetches like crazy money.
Oh yeah. I had a friend who actually bought the Millennium Falcon one. It took
Oh
him
yeah.
2 months to put it together.
Oh, I bet. I believe
Like,
that. It would
I
take
don't
me
know.
2 years, man. And at
Yeah.
that point, I'd be like, you
I
know
just
what?
let
Can I
it
just
sit
pay
there and be like,
somebody? Yeah.
yeah, I'll pay somebody. Exactly.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
then,
I
you
was
know
like,
what I would want to
seriously,
do is
man.
to ensure my time was well spent, I'd glue every damn piece just to make
Yeah.
sure if it falls, it's not breaking.
It's
So I'd
not
be
going.
sitting
Yeah,
there super
exactly.
gluing every single piece, be like,
Oh yeah.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
you're not gonna break. I spent
Yeah,
thousands of dollars
exactly.
on you, spent all this
This
time.
is a one and done deal. Like I
Yep.
am not going
Yep.
through this again.
Gilster's asking if you're still collecting DVDs and Blu-rays. Physical
No,
media, we don't see a lot of that anymore, do we?
no, we don't. No, we. Oh, don't. I was at local blanking out swap meet for some collectors out here, and I was surprised at the quantity actually of Blu-rays and VHS. VHSs are, I don't know if they're making a comeback. Like I said, I'm not into the VHS circuit here or clubs, but a lot of VHSs. I was pleasantly surprised to see that.
I've been seeing that
And
people are
yeah,
looking for VHS players
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that sort of thing.
And so that surprised me, and I was like, man, like some of these are pretty cool, and obviously some of them are movies from my childhood. But no, I went digital a long time ago, honestly. Anything from back in the day when we had to rip our own stuff. You try to get the DVD from somebody and try to rip it,
Yep. Yep.
or if somebody wasn't using their digital copy, those were like discarded
Hey,
before.
let me have it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you a couple bucks and I'll get that. So yeah, no, I don't collect. My wife is a lot more into the physical media. She actually has a couple of what is it, 35 millimeters, and
wow.
like one or two, maybe two, 8 millimeter ones. But she is way more into the I guess the cinema aspect of it than I am.
Nice.
I've always been more of consuming, how can I say it? All the Marvel stuff I'll eat up. Like I love the Marvel movies, obviously Star Wars and things like that. So I'm always like sci-fi and like what she calls the dumb action movies. I'm like, dude, I'm all there for that. Give me explosions for 30 minutes straight. I'm
80s
set.
action movies, man. That's where
Exactly.
it's at. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than getting like some Chuck Norris, some Predator,
Oh man, yeah,
some
exactly.
Commando,
Yeah.
all that stuff, man.
Yeah, I agree. And so, but no, she's a lot more, she knows a lot more than I do into the actual, oh, this is how it was shot. Like, this is like the subtext of the film, etc. So she's more on the art side of that. I'm
Right.
like, I don't see it. I was like, is there aliens in this, or like,
Where's the art?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't. If it doesn't have a spaceship, I don't know if I can call it art. I was like, I'm sorry.
That's awesome, man. All right, man. Well, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I got to get my kids to bed. I'm sure you probably
I hear you.
got
Yeah,
something
it's
like
about
that
that.
too.
Yeah.
So, all you guys in the chat, appreciate your questions. Appreciate you stopping by. We will definitely have the good general here again soon,
Oh, thank you.
if he's willing. And
Oh yeah, always, man.
we will. Why did my mouse go dead? Hold up. There we go. All right, there we go.
Doesn't want me to leave.
For you guys, if you're watching this now, watching the recording, remember, special day next week, Monday, 7 p.m. Central Time. My special guest is Century TMC. So that will be an interesting, good time. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Absolutely.
all right, good general. Well, thank you for coming on board. Appreciate you. And we'll talk again real soon, my man.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me, and thanks everybody in the chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making some really good questions. Actually,
Yeah.
not many, but some good hitters right
Good
there.
questions, guys.
Appreciate that. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. Again, thanks to for the invite. And I hope to see you on the high ground pretty soon. We'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, guys, do not miss next not tomorrow, but in a week. Um, that Monday, with Sentry, the Mac Collector, that's going to be an insane show. So make sure
It
you don't
totally
miss
will
it.
be. We're not going to do
Good
like
times.
any weight lift contests or anything because he'll kick my ass. So we're
Oh,
not
I
going
was
to do
going to say,
anything crazy. Like I
I
would
don't know if I
never.
would want to
If I
go
need a
that route.
bodyguard, I'll go get Sentry. But I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
gonna.
absolutely.
Not gonna do any
Yeah.
of that stuff. So, all right, my man. Good talking to you. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.